man, can I just say this? It's really interesting. When I got into the fiat currency space, I thought it was all about, oh, RV, oh, this, oh, that, oh, this. And like, it led me down this really dynamic rabbit hole. Like the rabbit hole became, and it was really big in the beginning. Like, remember, this is almost our 1 year anniversary from our last call, right? To now, right?
Correct.
And back then we talked in so big generalities. Like, it was like, well, it's going to do it because I feel like it's going to do it, or I feel like this is going to happen because it's a feeling, and I don't have feelings any longer. Now I can go cite and text. You want to talk about economic plans? You want to talk about trade agreements? I can take you, like, I've taken this down to a finite science of its policy, its legislation, its trade, and its enforcement. And once you've got those key components for anything, in that point, then you can say fiat currencies have to change. And you're gonna laugh. And you told me this, and I'm giving you all the props in the world right now. And if you guys think I'm lying, I'm dying. Ben told me, he said, hey, Brando, fiats and digital are going to be intertwined via a trade agreement. He thought I forgot.
Most people don't remember.
And he thought I forgot. And I'm going to tell you this. What I tell you, Ben, I said, no way. No, it's not going to happen. No.
It's the same reaction as everybody else. First of all, crypto is never going to go anywhere. And if you remember, all the major corporations and even Jim Rickards completely talking smack about cryptocurrency. Now, all of a sudden, they've changed their perception and they've had the paradigm shift. And they're saying, well, you should probably own, 1% of the digital asset space.
well, your U.S. Congress in a stimulus bill just recently tried to shove the digital dollar, and that leads you down another whole trade platform, right? Because of the United States, Mexico, Canada trade agreement, which hence is is the bigger
USMCA, body. Yeah. You know what that reminds me of is in 1912 when the Federal Reserve came together with 6 banking partners to create the Federal Reserve banking system. Mm-hmm. This reminds me of the exact same thing all over again and where we are with this massive bubble getting ready to burst, but they're going to burst the fiat into a digital. And by grabbing all those stimulus checks, they have everyone's information. This is how they're doing it. They're taking everyone's information so they can keep as many people as possible into the digital dollar, because now they have all these different competitions against them that if they didn't give that first initial bit out for free, no one would have signed up to get into the system. So they're keeping everybody on board with what's happening. But it's like 1912 all over again. They just passed a law in Congress to do a repeat of the same fucking thing.
And you know what we call that in the fiat space?
Crazy.
No, you know what they call it? We call it banking inclusion. When you can't get people to take advantage of a bank and its services, you've got to create what's called a reason to buy. So what they did was, through this scare, they created... Oh, we've got a little feedback going on. Okay, that's right. That's no problem, Rob. I get it. But they created this instant need, right? And so, like, I go, I am not a digital guy like you guys are. And so, like, I go, well, what is this whole digital dollar backed on? Like, what's it about? Like, what's it so important? It's backed on one thing and one thing only.
Confidence.
Which is the only thing fiat currency has going for it, is the belief in the American system. The greatest, by the way, economic system that has ever been, and that ever will be, ever.
The greatest experiment is what they say. The whole thing is. Because they have no idea, because everything works off of monetary theory. Everything's just theory.
And that's when you get in that QFX and stuff like that. And I'm not a big QFS guy. Quantum, you can't do that because you can't guess human emotion. You can predict trends. You can predict this is going to go. But you know what you can't predict? The Americans, the fear or even the brilliance of the American populace to make smart buys, or the fear and the panic and the strife of them to dump a commodity just because of a rumor or something happening in their present space.
You are so on point with, we should have done this a long time ago.
I wish we would have, because we had so much more to talk about.
We had a
You
lot
know,
of fun doing it too. And
we
I'll do
did.
interviews with people, but they're not a whole lot of fun.
No, because they're stuff.
Here we have
Here.
Randy that's coming in right now. Randy, she lives in North Florida. She is in my group, and she is literally a godsend. Some of the information she has, and I think you two would just hit it off if you and your wife are talking with her. Hey, Randy, how are you?
Hey, Randy, I've heard a lot about you.
I asked Randy if she'd come in and add a little value to this conversation because she has an extreme, and I mean extreme, amount of wealth of knowledge, especially with Ripple and cryptocurrency. Some of the stuff that she has, I pulled up. I personally dug for it for our members in the group a year or so ago. And some of the important things that are just getting ready to come to fruition, she already knows about. Like, how's this possible? So, well, she's another Brando. She's another Benjamin. So,
yeah, I love knowing masters of the universe. I love that. I love the people who have a passion and a will. You are always welcome with me. And to say this, it's so funny that we talk about Ripple, because remember, you and I also spoke about, it was either you and I or you and April were speaking about, now, I'm dumb, so don't.
The V-Chain?
Remember we were talking about, is Ripple XRP again? Is that XRP?
Ripple is XRP. And what most people don't realize about XRP is you remember the old company IBM, which was actually going into bankruptcy. They 360. It came back and reemerged out of nowhere. What they helped to create a cryptocurrency called Stellar Lumens.
Yes.
Which has a relation to the 1988 Phoenix Rising Out of the Ashes, the magazine with a bird, and it has a necklace, talks about going into a one world digital currency. The symbol on the bird has been confirmed now. We were one of the first to get it and put it in one of our reports. Came out on the news by various different people. Then you hear all kinds of people on YouTube talking about, oh, we got it, we found it. We found this thing a year in advance. Remote viewing, by the way.
Right.
It's not real. It doesn't work. It doesn't exist. What are you talking about? Yeah, well, I guess we don't know what we're talking about. But Stellar has the same symbolism through what's called Lucis Trust, which is a United Nations backed partner on the IBM platform to create the Stellar Lumens, which is actually the brother of the Ripple network by Brad Garlinghouse. The people that are behind these two cryptocurrencies, which nobody's going to tell you, nobody's going to talk about, these two cryptocurrencies are set to overthrow the entire global financial system.
But can I tell you something really quickly? Okay. So if you dig a little deeper and we change this over to a fiat conversation, and don't anybody stop with what Ben's talking about real quick, okay? Yep. But if you look at blockchain technology, and if you look at what we call the SWIFT system, that's the system in which that country to countries pay for. So if I want to buy something in Italy, I put in US dollars into our Federal Reserve. They say it's okay. And they send it over the SWIFT system over to Italy. They change it over to the Italian currency. They transfer it. They do the thing and blah, blah. Is that not the same system as Ripple, basically?
Yeah, it is.
Yep. It's the exact same system, and I have the documentation that actually shows the SWIFT system created by Alan Greenspan, that the SWIFT system has now, and this took place 3.5 months ago, the entire world doesn't even know. The top economists that are supposed to know more than we do don't have a clue. They get their advice from paid crypto people on YouTube, and then they write a book, and everybody listens to the experts, which don't know a damn thing about cryptocurrency to begin with. Give me a break. It's ridiculous.
I have more U.S. officials that have either stalked me, followed me, hit me up, send me these weird encrypted emails asking me information about. I got into a discussion with a guy on Twitter one day in Iraq, and he didn't know his constitution. And so we got speaking about it. And he said, well, do you know the American Constitution? I said, no, but I know yours forward and backwards.
That's amazing. And the same thing happens in the United States. So you get a lot of immigrants that will come over. You look at an American, you ask them if, and they don't know they don't know it. But one of the requirements of coming to the United States to become a citizen is you have to know the Constitution. But in that, it's half-assed backwards that they know the Constitution and their rights, which is probably why most immigrants are thriving while most Americans are unemployed on welfare and food stamps. They know what their rights are. And then you have all of the United Nations and all these BS people out there, that IMF and Bill Gates and
World Bank.
Jesus.
I think Jonathan wanted to say something.
I'm sorry?
I think Jonathan wanted to say something.
Jonathan is my partner in the crypto agenda. He's the second remote viewer. Most people, they send me messages say, this guy Jonathan, he does all the answering for Patreon and runs most of that stuff. So people contact me and say, who's this Jonathan? I think it's really Ben, and nobody ever gets to see him. And I said, John, you need to come on and we'll introduce you. This is the second best remote viewer I've met in my entire life. He gets a lot of amazing, he's going to be humble, he's not going to admit it, but a lot of hits that we get, we post in the Hidden Agenda chat on Telegram. It's because of this guy right here. And so
well, honored to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Brando.
I'm sorry, I'm a little quirky, so don't mind me.
Same here. I had a cup of coffee, and I'm feeling pretty good.
My wife put me on keto, so no more coffee, no more sugar. So I told her I gave up smoking 10 years ago. I'm giving up vaping right now. But so excuse me, I have to pacify myself at some points. I am human.
Everybody has a pacifier, I think. It's normal.
Can I ask you? Well, let's take this conversation of digital space and trade, and let's make a correlation, because now we've included Swift into this. So we'd all admit that we know that this platform is running on basically an XRP platform. And we know that blockchain, which has been around for a long time, I didn't even know that. Like, and you preached it in my head going on a year. Brandon, blockchain's been around forever. Hospitals use it, banks use it. Heck, even Western Union uses it. You've got to really take a look at blockchain and understand how blockchain affects your life. Uh-oh.
Oh, we're fine. Everything's all good.
Okay, we're all good still?
Yep.
Did you mean to share?
Yeah, I was trying to do where we could share with everybody so they get to see what we're seeing, but it's not going as planned. It's fine. Okay. We're still recording. Everything's good.
So when I looked at the U.S.-Canada trade agreement, and then you go and you look at the China, the China trade agreement was a part of another trade agreement that another president wrote. And it basically was at fault because it lacked a couple things: protection of intellectual properties, protection of certain buys. But another thing that was in question was currency manipulation, right?
Huge. Derivative contracts, they keep metals suppressed. They're doing the same thing right now through backed with cryptocurrency, suppress the price through the coin market cap, and everybody thinks the real price is. There's so many instances where we'll look on the exchange and it'll say for just a few seconds, Bitcoin's at $1.4 million. Bitcoin's at $380,000. It shows the spikes. It shows the volume in such detail. If that was not supposed, it's unbelievable, and people don't have any clue what's happening. If Bank of America filed a patent on cryptocurrency 2 years ago for the underlying blockchain technology, even though the invention already came out, see, Obama in 2012 signed an executive order that says it doesn't matter if you were the first to invent something, it all depends on who's first to file. So if Bank of America filed on blockchain technology, then they own the legal rights. So if they came in and bought the coin market cap out, they could control the price legally, and there's nothing anybody could do about it if they wanted to, which is what they're doing on contracts, suppressing the price, and the people don't have a clue. If they keep it low and it's never going to go anywhere, then the people aren't going to buy it so they can accumulate as much as humanly possible. Why would Bank of America and Ripple file patents together? Bank of America is a multi-trillion-dollar corporation. Do you think they're planning on losing? And all the other 300 banks partner with Ripple, which, by the way, a few months ago, the Federal Reserve had a banking freeze nationwide between all of the top banks. It happened, it only lasted for a few days, and it was through multiple cities across the United States. The X-Rapid, which is one of three kinds of blockchains. You have a governmental blockchain, you have a private blockchain through the private sector, and you will have a public blockchain. And this is the Ripple that everybody, the public buys, is the public. It's the money for the people. And you just had a governmental blockchain as well as that private sector, which the Federal Reserve just implemented something called X-Rapid 2.5 to 3 months ago during this issue. And the entire planet doesn't have any clue that the SWIFT system is now intertwined through an API link that when you make a purchase at your bank or you do a wire transfer, your money is sent on blockchain and the people don't have a fucking clue. Ugh!
Now,
come on, baby. Woo! Tell me
this.
where we're going.
Watch this.
Now,
Watch this. Let's take it back. Look, I'm a hip hop guy. Let's take it back to the bridge. Let's take it back to the bridge. Watch this. If you read the China trade agreement, it states that inside of that agreement that you will have to be on par fiat-wise, unit per unit. They don't describe it dollar for dollar. They describe it unit for unit. So now when you start to see the digital dollar, you start to see China's big push for the digital renminbi. You start to see blockchain now that they just got done with the Arab conference right now in the Middle East. Every country's gonna come out with a digital quote unquote dollar, right? Because a unit be a unit. Currencies will never be equal.
Which, by the way, the sand dollar in the islands south of South Florida, in the Grand Cayman Islands, and U.S. Virgin Islands, the IMF told them, with the central bank of the Bahamas, to release the sand dollar, which is a blockchain cryptocurrency, to all Cuba. They're all using it, and the public doesn't know. Japan is 85% cashless. They trade in only cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, and but people don't know. China, for the last 5 years.
Hold on. Back up, Ben. Back up.
Cryptocurrency. Starbucks, McDonald's, they're all testing cryptocurrency right now.
Back up. Let's do this. Cuba, suppressed economy. Suppressed. Via Russia, via Iran, via the United States. Everybody wants their oil. It's all going back to trade. Think about it. They have cleaner crude there than most any place in the world. Basically, you can pump it out of the ground and instantly use it. Everybody wants it, right?
And they have to do that so they can create more out of thin air. Otherwise, they're not going to accept it. They have to.
And here's the deal. So now all of a sudden, if everybody's on, like you said, a governmental blockchain, such as Cuba instantly getting that tag on their currency, imagine this. Cuba's a closed market economy, right? But let's say they want to buy something from Mozambique. Just weird. They want to buy coconuts. They love coconuts. Who knows? How do they transfer money within seconds? Shipping takes place. There's no currency manipulation because a unit at that point is a unit. Now we can raise the par of our actual fiat currency because it's going to fuel the digital currency. And because of supply times demand, now the fiat actually fuels the digital space. Now it's actually has a baseline or derivative that's provable. And because we actually deal in that in other countries, every time we spend a dollar, it makes the digital dollar or the blockchain technology more powerful as a market space.
Because they reinforce each other the way it's supposed to be.
That's what they don't want you to know. Mm-hmm. That's for someone like me who's not a crypto guy, and I always say it wrong. They say, well, how does that affect you? It affects me via trade. So when I go to Walmart and I want to go buy tissue paper, and I look one day and it's $3, and I look during a pandemic times and it's $8, and I'll say the units didn't change. What changed? What really changed? The digital space rose, panic rose, right? Digital went up, digital went down, but guess what fiats all did?
They inflated.
They inflated big time.
Big time.
So you can't explain to me why Vietnam is 23,000 changed to 1. Makes 0 sense. 0 cents.
John, Brando.
Explain it.
Yeah, I was going to run it by you guys that June 16th of 2019, they actually tried it was a cashless day. They did a digital cashless day on June 16th of 2019, actually in documented form.
Well,
Have you heard about that?
Yeah,
the
but can I say this to you? Do you know what the ultimate cashless society was based on?
I do not.
The United States. Think about it. We've basically been cashless for several years. We have ATM cards. We use credit cards. You use your phone to transfer money.
Right.
Hell, you can take your cell phone and go pay for gasoline. The experiment was a success, right? And they couldn't tell people that you're working in a digital space because people that are of a certain age would freak out.
I talked about this. I put this in a previous report, exactly what you're talking about. The little chips that are considered, that are in all debit and credit cards. See, the people don't want to go to an RFID chip. It'll never happen, but this is part of the agenda for vaccinations and the economy and this black swan event for the coronavirus, which, by the way, there's 12 different kinds of coronavirus, like flu and cold and fever, and they're all coronavirus. And if you fall out of an airplane with no parachute on, you're now ruled that you've died as COVID-19, which nobody's talking about now. But how could they get people, the pre-programming the people to accept the RFID? This little chip is 100% unnecessary. It was safer without the chip. But by putting this in there years in advance, this is the training to the people that this is going to be socially acceptable in the not too distant future. After enough people started using these and learning about it, what's the next thing that's getting ready to take place?
They already chipped you. You carry it in your wallet or your purse daily. You're
That's
already
right,
chipped.
but people don't know that.
Man,
and it's going to get a lot worse. There was a patent just put out by DARPA. If you don't know who DARPA is, DARPA created the internet. And so for every blockchain, even the ones that say that they're private, how could they be private when the creators of the internet that owns all data worldwide is the US military? It doesn't make any sense. So once you know who created the internet, it might give you a closer idea as to who created Bitcoin.
So can I ask another dumb question? Because my wife, she's working, but she had a question.
Shoot.
She said,
there is no dumb questions.
What is Bitcoin halving? Halving?
Okay, so Bitcoin halving is there's a certain amount of when you're a miner and you mine cryptocurrency, every so often you have what's called a halving take place, is where right now I believe it's 12.5 blocks. Which is 12, we could say 12.5 Bitcoin is distributed every time a block is mined. You get a reward. So if you have 10 different mining rigs, 10 different people, and they're typically in what's called a pool where they all share the same hash rate to mine blocks faster, because if they do it by themselves, it's going to take a hell of a long time. As the difficulty of these computer codes gets really hard, then it takes more hashing power, more hardware, more electricity to solve these really complicated math problems. And so as we get closer to these things called halvings, the hash rate and difficulty climbs up, but the block reward is what's paid out to the miners when they solve one of these block puzzles on this ledger. It cuts in half. So we're going from 12.5, I believe it's going to be 6.5 or 6. I don't know. What is it, 3?
6.3?
No, we're at the third halving.
We're at the third halving. Yep. Well, the reward gets cut in half, essentially. And when that takes place, that also should make the price skyrocket as well, because that means we're a little closer to less Bitcoin being created. The beautiful thing about Bitcoin is that there can only ever be 21 million Bitcoin created. You can't inflate Bitcoin like the US dollar, or pumping more oil and you make more dollars. The sick part is in 1971, going from the gold standard to the oil standard, what people don't realize, and you probably know this, but that deal was done with King Salman in Saudi Arabia. Just a few years ago, and here's what people don't, just a few years ago, King Salman stepped off the throne. When Trump got into office, he flew out to see the Pope. He went to Sicily, Italy. He went to the G20 summit, and that was in Sicily. He went to King Salman. When he stepped off the throne, that contract was null and void. And we have no longer been on an oil standard for the last 3 years, but the people don't know because they don't pay any attention. And so this same time, digital banking and the RFID chips and tracking, IoT chips, which is the new computer technology that's going to be put on something called an FPGA by Xilinx by Intel, is the newest, most advanced mining machine on the planet, which is, I can't even begin to explain to you, a little tiny chip the size of a penny. It has the same computing power as a $2,000 gaming computer. And these little things are going to be placed in every single electronic device everywhere in the world, in every cell phone, which is what the 5G needs, because 5G literally operates 1,000 times faster than 4G. That's the actual statistical number on it. That's set in stone. It doesn't change. And every time we have a step up, which is typically every 10 years, we have an advancement in technology. The halving goes right along with a piece of this, but the way everything is set up is perfectly staged, perfectly planned, and it's people couldn't plan this. AIs had to plan this. Now, there's AI computers that all they do is they're think tanks for future military projects. It's one of the, this is the, surely you've heard of the, what's it called? Neuralink by Tesla, by SpaceX. The Neuralink is an AI quantum computer program where you can have a conversation with the quantum computer over the phone, talking to this robot, and you wouldn't know that you're talking to a robot. It's so advanced that the robot can, it's what's called general AI. And it's the first of its kind. It came out 2 years ago. The US military picked it up. The AI is so advanced, the whole world, the whole banking system, the whole bloody thing is ran by one computer. And it's through Neuralink today. But the public has no idea. And what's coming here in the future, and new chips that are putting out, these IoT chips, they're already doing the lab testing with humans that they can implant one of these little tiny chips, which DARPA just filed a patent on. It's no longer an RFID technology like what's in your debit and credit card. It's a liquid dye using a cellular nanostructure, which through 5G technology, it's a long definition, but through 5G technology, a drop of dye on your skin soaks into the skin like a tattoo using liquid needles. And these needles get into your skin. It's there permanently for the rest of your life. You can't feel it. You don't even know that it took place. And there's a vaccination order coming out by Bill Gates for, there's a reason why they want to vaccinate people.
I need 2020.
You don't see maybe a correspondence here between vaccinations and a liquid dye that can be your new RFID chip. So the people will be RFID tagged, and none of them will even know that they were tagged. The minute you walk into your house next to your 5G, which I have a 5G Wi-Fi unit, the minute you walk into your house, it registers your vaccination with you, and your algorithm, it tags you the minute you walk into your home because they have all your contact information. It has everything. You're getting an idea of what's happening here.
Yeah, you know what you just did?
People won't even know that it took place.
You know what you just did? I'll tell you what you just did. You took an antiquated system called the birth record or your birth certificate, and you just streamlined it.
Yep. It's the straw man, and this is how money's created. It's based off of the human energy, which Microsoft just filed the patent on, running all blockchain off of human energy. And if you know how money is created and where it comes from, when you're born and you get a birth certificate, social security card, and you get these things called bonds placed under your birth certificate, and a normal person could have 10, 20, 50, 100. You're worth typically $100 million by the time you're 7 years old, and futures are pulled off of each and every single person through the birth certificate. The Federal Reserve is creating all this money, and this is why when we go to war and there's a massive deficit, they want as many people, unfortunately this is sick, but they want as many people to die as possible and as many people to be born as possible, as quickly as possible, so that they can create more future debt or money off of the people, because the human energy and vitality rates of the human body is what powers this world economy. And now they're doing the same thing again on cryptocurrency. And you hit all this on the head of the nail, Brando. It's amazing.
But you know what? It's not hard to see the correlation between the two when you look at how they're dealing with trade, and when you look at the policy and you look at the way that the trade is now being set up, and you want to say to yourself, as an investor, right? Because that's what we really all are. We're all investors, truly. And you say, well, do I want to put my money into a hard currency bracket, or do I want to put it into something that I can stuff inside, like you have that little chip, you know what I mean? Or do I want to hide that somewhere? You're eliminating, safety. Think about this. No home security goes up. Everything in your life can improve with safety. So now all of a sudden you say someone like a Brando who's buying blocks and pallets of cash that makes himself successful to invasion, right?
Yep.
Now I'm creating safety. And that's how they're going to pass that off, because how do you sell somebody something? Only through emotion. One day, mommy met daddy, and guess what? You and I are here. Thank God for emotion, right?
That's right.
Now imagine running the whole freaking market space off of a biometric rhythm that comes from the body, based upon you watching the old boob tube, right? Seeing the market spike, it collects an algorithm or an endorphin that says the body's going up. Look, they like that. Keep feeding them that information.
You know,
get it?
And it's amazing. I'm going to fill you in on a sneak peek. I do remote viewing. I've been doing it for a long time. About a year and a half ago, I saw a future biometric technology come out that would be utilized by something called a sniffer. At TSA, at all the airports, they have these machines. They're called bomb sniffers. And when you walk through this bomb sniffer, I saw at one point that the sweat off of someone's hand, the touching of someone's hand in the future could be used as a biometric code. So when you pick up your cell phone, you are the password, you are the key. In the future, when you step into your car, you are the password, you are the key, your human body. Everybody has a different biometric resonant signature of their own body, which separates literally everything. My partner and I dug deep on these bomb sniffing machines, which DARPA just filed the patent on the liquid needle dye that goes with what we're talking about. But what my partner and I did, we paid $14,000 to two of the top blockchain patent attorneys in the United States, and we filed the patent on this biometric signature technology. And right now it's patent pending. And at some point in the next year or so, I would love to see the look on DARPA's face when they realize that somebody beat them to it 2 years in advance.
Now, can I ask a dumb question?
There's nothing dumb. I ask all
Oh,
stuff.
And I digress. There's a lot of dumb questions out there. I'm teasing.
I have a feeling that the RFIDs may not be coming out.
Well, I know they're not. You want to know why? Because it invokes fear. People are going to listen. The human body, right, is geared towards running away from fear, because we're taught that. If you're fearful, run, not fight. Most people are either fight or flight. So if you hear RFID chip, I panic. I'm thinking, and I've got tattoos all over my body, but you know what? I'm thinking, you're going to put something in me that I don't want and I disagree with. Fight or flight. I'm going to run. No forced vaccine. No forced vaccine. Stay in my house. I'm an American. You can't do that to me. But, right? But if you say, man, it's a pin drop, it's going to make you feel better. Dude, you're going to gravitate towards pleasure. You're going to feel better. Life's going to be better. You're going to be easy. And you know what you're going to say? Oh, well, that's not getting chipped.
Well, the thing is, and this is personal opinion, I think it's already taking place and the people don't even know that they're being chipped. And most people in the United States, if not worldwide, are already chipped and you don't know it. And this is one of the sole goals of the Starlink system being put into place. And if you notice, the coronavirus outbreak took place on exactly 40 degrees on planet Earth. And it's perfect. You take a globe and you look at 40 degrees on the map, Wuhan, China, Sicily, Italy, all the way through New York, all the way around the entire planet. Guess what? That's where the 1,200 Starlink satellites were lifted up into space.
And during a Metro retrograde also, when emotions were high, fears were in place.
Yep.
What spreads virus more than a virus? Fear. Fear is a virus. That's all it is. It's a virus.
It's
And it's
absolutely right.
infectious. It's infectious. Think about it. It controlled markets. Look what it did to oil the other day, guys. Oil got to zero. I called that on my channel. I said, guys, look, at one point, they're going to pay you to take their oil. Oil's worthless.
Yep.
People laughed at me. They thought I was crazy. They said, Mr. Brando, you're nuts. It's never going to happen. It happened. Now, let me
Mr.
tell you.
Brando, guys, sorry, we have 10 seconds left.
Oh, no. It just got good.
We got to do this later. If you got interested, Mr. Brando has a private group. I have a private group as well called the Crypto Agenda. I will leave the links in the description box below so you guys can check it out. We also have a free public crypto chat. I'll leave the link to that. Check out the description. Give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't. Thank you for coming. And until next time, I got nothing. I'll see you later.